On the day when 6 soldiers were placed before court, suspected of plotting to destabilize the country, to in fact impose on this country something that we've not been used to, in fact also seen in the last more than 2 decades, a coup d'etat. Well, we have a conversation that looks at the anatomy of a coup d'etat, subverting the constitution. Now, we know that, as I just said, 6 of 7 officers were today arraigned before court and alleged to be part of this plot to destabilize the country. Well, these are the 2 brains behind it, government had alleged in a statement that was issued last week. They add to the 5 suspects who we know now have already been put before court for their roles in the alleged attempt to subvert this constitution. Now, the 6 were charged with possession of explosives, arms and ammunition without lawful authority. That is the legal charge on the document that had been filed in court. But we know, as far as government is concerned, and from information that the likes of Kuku Bako had put in the public, the plan was to use these to kidnap both the president and the vice president, effectively cutting off the head, so to speak, to facilitate the process of overthrowing the government. The case of the 6 soldiers have been adjourned to October 9th, we know now. Now, I have 2 guests in the studio today to look at the anatomy of the coup d'etat in the wake of all these conversations in the last 1 week. One of them is this man here. He's Captain retired in Krabia Fadate. He's a lawyer, former Deputy Interior Minister as well, but also lawyer for one of the 6 arrested, arraigned today. He has his own history with this particular conversation that has unfolded over the last 1 week or so. Himself, he's been fighting claims. He played in that allegations that he played a role in the 1981 attempted coup, as contained in the retired Superintendent Yudana's book, something that he challenges quite vehemently, who killed the judges. You recall he was in fact arrested by operatives of the military intelligence in February 1981 for his alleged role in that coup d'etat. So he understands a bit more than ordinary mere mortals like ourselves about what this whole conversation is about. The most important thing, though, he, together with 47 others, were later freed, tried for the attempted subversion, but later freed. In fact, the charge was mutiny, but who was later freed. But this renowned son of the land, that is, Osahene, Major Retired Wachijan, one of the brains of the successful coup d'etat, is also joining us today. In 2003, he said the coup was to save our former president, Jerry Rawlings, who was facing a possible death sentence for planning the coup in the previous month. But it's quite agreed generally that Wachijan was a brain behind that particular 79 coup, the June 4 revolution. Remember that? He drove it, and he was a spokesperson for the AFRC as well. It all began, we know, as far as this latest development is concerned, all began when a joint security operation last week led to the retrieval of these ammunitions that I've talked about earlier. Now, the arrest and seizure follows, as we've been told already, 15 months of surveillance on these individuals. We also know from the government now that they have recordings, they have video recordings, audio recordings as well, of these individuals allegedly plotting actively with the help of military officers who are now been arraigned before court to kidnap the president and the vice president, use the ammunition to create a situation where that is possible to overthrow this particular government. Some had joked with it all. Let's speak to the experts, those who've been there, who've tried it before, and look at the anatomy of a coup d'etat and really map the road forward in terms of the conditions that may have urged this group on, if indeed it's true, the allegations against them can be upheld in court. Are these conditions prevalent today that may necessitate or fuel conversation among the ranks of the military for a coup d'etat to happen? Stay with us here on PM Express as we delve into the anatomy of a coup d'etat. And you're live on PM Express tonight. In the studio with me is Captain Retired Nkrabea Efadate and Major Retired Osahene Wachijan. Thank you very much for your time here on PM Express. This is a conversation that has taken this country by surprise, and rightly so, because for decades we have not had anything close to this, where the state intervenes and arrests people and accuse them of overthrowing the Constitution. But Captain, let me start with you. I understand that one of the 6 officers who were placed before court today, you represent one of them.
Yes.
Okay. How is he? How is he faring in the back of what has happened?
He's emotionally shattered, and rightly so, because from what he tells me, he's absolutely and completely innocent and does not know the circumstances or the issues that have gotten him to this point, because he's absolutely innocent. His father was an MPP chairman.
Okay.
So his dogged commitment to the MPP administration is without question. So for somebody to mention his name and link him up with this terrible danger is unimaginable. He is finding it very difficult to come to terms with it.
You were also wrongfully accused in history of also being I think mutiny was a charge against you. So I think you understand what he's going through now.
Yes, very much so. Yeah. Very much so. Very much so. Because I was arrested in 1981. 1981, yes, I was arrested in 1981 February by operatives of President Liman. I was charged with mutiny. That's the military equivalent of subversion or treason. And there was absolutely no basis for my arrest. 47 innocent soldiers were also picked up together with me, but they were all freed. They were all restored to their jobs, and I alone was tried for attempting to stage a military coup. But at the level of submission of no case, by myself, defending myself.
Were you a lawyer then?
Yes.
Were you a lawyer then?
Yes, I was not yet a lawyer, but a graduate in law. I was acquitted and discharged by the General Court Martial, sitting in prison. But subsequently I was convicted of the offense of misconduct, which is a military offense for general offenses. So I can appreciate the problems that my client is going through. Very terrible.
What rank were you in when this happened to you? What rank?
Oh, I was a lieutenant. I was a young officer.
Okay. But your client is is lower in rank than when you were your client now.
My client is an LAC, leading aircraftsman. That's the equivalent of a Lance Corporal.
Okay. What do they do?
Oh,
I mean, just for those of us who don't understand what a leading aircraftsman is.
Oh, okay. You know, we have 3 services. We have the Army, Air Force, and Navy. Okay. And each of them, their ranks are different. In the Army, we have private, Lance Corporal, Corporal, and Sergeant, upwards. Now, in the Air Force, I'm not too confident of their ranks, but I know that leading aircraftman, LAC, is one of the lowest ranks, just like.
So that's in the Air Force?
That's in the Air Force.
Okay.
Yes.
Major, so you heard he's representing the man. He's now told us a bit of the background of the individual who is accused. Knowing what you know and what you've read, now the officers have now been put. The time when we first spoke to you last week, we didn't know that the military, we haven't been told. All the civilians have been put, but now military officers, 7 officers have been put before court. What's your reading into this? Accused of, as the statement says, planning to destabilize the country. Your good friend Kuku Bako this weekend threw further light on this. He said that the plan was to use the explosives to create a situation where they could kidnap the president and the vice president in the ensuing chaos. That's why they had amassed weapons. And that is the evidence, he says, video and audio, that he's seen in possession of the military intelligence. Knowing what you know, what's your reaction to all that?
My first reaction is that there was unnecessary rush to handle the case publicly. And that's why my first reaction is that, look, if you have a belief in the evidence you have, take them to court and let their cases be contested by him and the others. And then we, the civilians, or now retired, could exercise our judgment on the evidence put before us. But for the government as a party to the case, to want us to consume the other side of the case without the opportunity to hear the other side of the case was extremely unfair. That's the way I look at it. There was unnecessary haste in pushing this case down our throat. Because you will find out that I haven't read the charge sheet myself, but I knew that the so-called materials produced could not stand the test of a coup d'etat.
Why do you say that?
Because you see, a coup d'etat involves the movement of troops and resources of the armed forces, either the whole unit or a section of it, to overturn the direction of the state. The French word for it is a coup d'etat, a blow at the state, to overturn it. You see? Now, with all respect, you do not expect me, a professional soldier, to believe that a table knife is a weapon that might be classified as a combat weapon.
But they also had grenade and were purchasing allegations, AK-47 rifle.
That's what I said. The report should have been handled with more discerning than the information given to us so far. And then there's no mention of specific term of a coup d'etat.
Yes, it said a plot to destabilize the country.
And that does not necessarily amount to a coup d'etat.
Targeted at the presidency.
Pardon?
Targeted at the presidency.
Precisely. But look, in history, there are so many examples of presidents that individuals have taken a portrait and killed. JFK Kennedy in the 80s. And did not destabilize American society, the most powerful on earth, and the most popular president. He died. It did not lead to destabilization of American society. Why should that happen to us here? I mean, these are value judgments based on the information that a few people have privilege to know, but they shouldn't have been made public ahead of the trial of the case.
If you listen to the detail that Kweku Bako provides, which is that the plan actually, as he's seen said as a video and audio, was to kidnap the president and the vice.
Yeah, but that's an allegation.
Yes, that's an allegation. He says there's video and audio.
It doesn't matter who produced the video. Are you a party to who produced the video?
Military intelligence, he says, had done too.
What is the veracity in that claim? You don't know. I don't know. So this information should not have been made ahead of the trial. You know, and as it were, force us to absorb information that was not unnecessary at that time right for us to absorb. You know, they could have taken them to court immediately, and in the course of trial, you have a representative who will present the case of the other side, and the government attorney general's office, whoever will represent, and then we, the onlookers, you know, will have to be given the opportunity to assess who is telling us the truth and who is not telling us the truth.
Captain, does it concern you, the information that I was just mentioning about the Kweku Bako revelations, about there being a video and audio recording of these individuals who have been charged, one of them you represent, that in fact the evidence is there to show that they were planning what Kweku Bako suggests that they were? That must concern you as a lawyer. Have you seen any evidence?
Well, as a lawyer for one of the suspects, so far, I do not have any evidence from the prosecution that links my client directly to any attempt or any plan or plot or program to destabilize our nation state. But looking at the subject of this our conversation, the anatomy of a coup d'etat. When you talk of a coup d'etat, you are talking of a project to destabilize the government, to take over, to overturn the state of affairs and replace the administration with a new set of rulers. Now, this is my legal mind. This is how I understand. And of course, as a former soldier, this is what I understand. But looking at the scenario and the dispensation of Ghana as of today, when we have survived, by God's grace, over 20 years of democratic constitutional rule, I cannot appreciate a situation where anybody in his right senses would think for a moment that he can successfully destabilize Ghana. It's not possible. And indeed, if there is any soldier listening to me, I would recommend strongly that you should run away from any idea, any thought, any dream of planning or staging a coup, because it is the worst thing that you can do. It does not pay, it does not help, it does not earn you anything. Look at history, world history, from time immemorial to the present. All those who take arms against the government, they don't end up correctly. None of them. None of them. They don't end up correctly.
Even when you succeed.
Even when you succeed.
I want to qualify that.
Because
the problem with that statement.
no,
Okay, I'll come to you too.
You know, even when you succeed, look at Gaddafi. After 40 years in power, Gaddafi was killed in a gutter.
Illegally.
He was killed.
A lawyer.
Look at who.
Jerry John Rawlings
walking around.
is a very good example of a successful coup maker who will come to that. Will come to you, who transitioned into civilian life and has successfully shown that you can do that.
Well, look at the record of Jerry Rawlings in Ghana. Look at 4th June. Look at 31st December. Look at the ideals. Look at the objects of his 31st December exercise. Where did it end up?
In terms of probability and accountability, etc.
And what happened to he and his NDC? And look
There's been a falling out.
Look at the rot that the New Patriotic Party administration took over in 1980, in the year 2001. I'm proud to say that by God's grace, I was a member of the coup administration, Deputy Minister for Local Government.
And Deputy Interior Minister as well, subsequently.
And the rot that we found in Ghana, after nearly 19 years of PNDC stroke NDC administration. Massa, I am being absolutely sincere with you when I say that it is never in the interest of anybody to stage a coup. And you know what? I've been thinking about this subject. Imagine somebody like you, or you, or me, or anybody coming on air to say that I've staged a coup, I'm the president of Ghana. Where is your oligarchy? Who are the people you are going to use to run the state with? Only a cabal of friends and ethnic group members and people that others will recommend to you. And that is absolutely different from a situation where you are a member of a political party, like me, Ngravia. I'm a member of New Patriotic Party, just like my president, Nanado, member of New Patriotic Party, just like Alan Martin, member of New Patriotic Party. And each of us believe in a common philosophy. So it is not a question of I am a friend of Nanado or I am an ethnic member of Nanado or that, but he and I belong to the same philosophy. And so we work together as a team to push through our developmental agenda for the success of our beloved motherland, Ghana. That, in my view, is much, much better, more endurable than a situation where one man takes a gun and starts dictating political sanity. Never.
Major, his point is fundamental. Coup doesn't fit. What would you say?
It oversimplifies the issue. And with respect to some of our viewers, who have never had the opportunity of either being close to the military installation or being members of the... Because let's go back to the fundamentals. What is a coup? For my understanding, and as a practitioner, you know...
When you say practitioner, I mean a coup.
Somebody who has carried out a coup.
A successful one.
But then let's clarify it. June 4th was against a certain illegal military regime.
SMC.
SMC. That's different from overthrowing an constitutionally elected government like Liman. They are two different...
That's where you fell out with Rawlings?
No, I've never encouraged it, even up to that time. The mere fact of our prosecution of June 4th and holding to account those who have broken the primary law of the land, the Constitution, and the Criminal Code 1960, which states clearly, Section 12B, that if you took up arms to overthrow a constitutionally elected government, you committed a high treasonable offense. And on conviction, I might be careful with my phrase because I'm not a lawyer. You must be suffered to, you must suffer death either by hanging or any available approved means.
The penalty you see ultimately.
That's right. So there are two types of coups, as far as I'm concerned. The anti-constitution coup, that's directed against a certain civilian administration. I think my friend here oversimplified the issue by not going into detail. That it's not a coup, it's a coup, it's a coup. You know, if you overthrow an elected constitutional regime, the range of legal remedies are, he's aware of them. But if you put yourself in a position where you overthrow a constitutionally elected government, and because by the privilege of holding up an arm, you hold all assets to ransom, you are not allowed to get away with it.
That you condemn.
I condemn totally. I mean, it's not that I condemn. The law for this country condemned that. From the Criminal Code 1960 to the Constitution, 1992 Constitution. It's clearly spelled out. You see? So we should not confuse the two issues. That's why I resist the temptation of classifying the hodgepodge of assorted group of, that is meant to be used to make a coup. Because you can't use a table knife to make a coup.
They can use that to maim, harm the president.
Precisely. So the government is in a position to be more precise.
But that could destabilize a country.
What do you mean by destabilization? Look, in 1980s.
Because if you have both the president and the vice.
Yes, in 1980, I'm sure you are aware, that an individual took a pot at the president JFK Kennedy and killed him. That lead to destabilization of the American society.
Some say the American society is a far different society than ours.
But you see, we cannot have our cake and eat it at the same time. We are not doing democracy, or we are not in a democracy. Now, if an elected government will allow itself to be destabilized, you see, in that case, for example, the example I gave, you have assassinated a president. Right? That's different from destabilizing a society. You didn't take the American soldiers to the streets. Nobody went to Congress House and says, I've taken over. You understand? Because when Kennedy...
But Major, if you consider that these accused plotters were recruiting serving officers to join their cause.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yes.
Thank you.
For allegedly recruiting serving officers to
help
their cause. Yes.
We don't know. That's why I'm saying that the government should have been more circumspect in rushing to judgment over this case. And I get disappointed when Mr. Bakon will say that I have a video of this and that. Who produced the video?
The military intelligence.
Is he a serving member of military intelligence?
He is in a position as a journalist to
right. I was a journalist, but he should have qualified it. You see, that you cannot put your self in a position to establish the veracity of that video when we don't know where it came from. We don't know the circumstances under which it was produced. You see, that is what I'm saying, is that if all this is not a coup d'etat, and he will bear me out, what has happened can never be described in it. In any case, the evidence, the charge sheet, 7 charges. Why didn't they mention coup d'etat in it?
Because they explained that the reason why they've done this is they just want an excuse to hold them further beyond 48 hours.
So why the rush?
That when the case starts properly in a proper court,
So that's what I'm saying.
the charges will change.
You are putting people's reputation and name and career on the line. You cannot reverse some of these things when they are stuck in people's mind. So it's to be fair to you and some of us who have successfully carried on the coup d'etat, that is an unfortunate development. That they have an evidence in front of them in the history of this country to distinguish between an assassination attempt from a coup d'etat. The two are different.
Captain, do you concede his distinction he's created between the coups? I mean, you also suggest there's a positive coup and there's a negative one. The positive one is the one that deals with what they had in 1979,
yes,
where you had a military regime that had taken over from a constitutional elected government.
Being there.
That is a legitimate one. And do you concede that?
Well, I'm sorry. Major Bwatija is my senior by far in age, in everything. But I don't share his views on this matter. I'm sorry, I don't share his views. The coup of 1972 by Achampong was organized historically by Achampong, Major Solomon, Major Kwame Ban, Major Roger Philip. And as information came out subsequently, it appears it was a pro-Kwame Nkrumah attempt to restore him. And that is why Achampong planned that coup and executed it. Now, 1972, he was in power. 73, 74, 75, 76, no, 75, it was converted to Supreme Military Council. I was then in first year at Legon. I remember so well. And then 76, the economy became terrible. 77, it was worse. 78, the generals, the army command, Odati Wellington and others, took a military decision that we have no business being in politics. So we must return to barracks. So the disengagement exercise began. A constituent assembly was put in place, and Ghana was preparing towards civilian rule. What in my view, what was the justification for 4th June? What was the justification for 4th June? Why was Odati Wellington killed? Why? For me, what explains the reasons for killing Major General Yabwachi, for killing Major General Robert Kotei, for killing Commodore Amedume? What was the reason for killing General Akufu? Telling me that you were punishing people who stayed the coup? Who stayed the coup? Achampong stayed the coup 72 and 79, 7 years later. You say you are punishing them, and that is why you staged 4th June. Now, how did 4th June come about? I was then a lieutenant in Michel Camp, Tema. And from what I heard, from my little research, based on what J.J. Rawlings himself said, and what the Director of Public Prosecutions himself said, Attorney General G.K. Akins, he was not Attorney General, he was Special Director of Public Prosecutions. What he told the General Court Martial, he said Rawlings wanted to overturn events so that he could punish those who are raping the economy and making life difficult for Ghanaians. And this is what I said much earlier, that if you stage a coup, you don't have an oligarchy backing you. You don't have a political party backing you. So you rule with a cabal of friends and ethnic group members.
So in your view, a coup d'etat is impossible in Ghana today?
Oh, I can definitely guarantee for you, no coup can succeed in Ghana. No coup. No military coup can succeed in Ghana.
Major.
You see, with all respect, I disagree with him.
Okay.
You see, it raises a fundamental issue of state security. And then we must as well disband all state security structures and go away and sleep. Because security, you can't have 100% security anywhere in the world. You understand? And therefore, his difficulty is that he talks about genesis of coup in Ghana from 1972, when his political party tradition was overthrown. How about 1966, 24 February against Kwame Nkrumah? It was an elected government. He beat Dankwa to it in the Republican Constitution. You understand what I mean? So let us go to the fundamental. Don't let it play politics with this game. We are playing and be economical with the truth here. Because the fact of the matter is that we are living under the rule of the law, the private law of this country, and the criminal code. He ought to know that it still exists in our statute book. It has been reproduced in all the constitutions since 1960. 1960 constitution is there. 1969 Busia constitution, it was there. Excuse me to say, 79 constitution, our constitution, it was there. Oh yes, the 1992 constitution, it is reproduced there. That if you pick up arms to overthrow a constitutionally elected government, you have ab initio created an illegal regime.
So you're saying that your coup in 79 was
directed against
so you were right in the wrong?
By the law. It's not we did it. It's the law which empowers us to do that. We actually enforce the law. There's also a difference between, overthrowing any regime by force of arms and getting away with it without being responsible to the laws of the land. In our case, we acted on the basis of the law, which still exists. So you cannot come and tell me to justify why somebody else was killed or not killed. You see, we've got to be more careful about it, because you we're mentioning names. I don't want to mention names. Or that was one of the finest generals we have produced in this country. But he misread the situation.
I want to bring back, there's a lot of fantastic history, but I want to use that history to ask the question about the current incident that we're talking about.
Yes.
Is there, and you were one of the people who led the coup in 79. Is there the conditions? Are there the conditions that you used to justify the coup then? Do you see those conditions today in 2019?
The only condition, if at all, is that the country must be thrown into chaos.
What I mean is the economic condition, the socio-economic conditions that fuel the demand for coup.
There's no matter the stress of a ruling government incompetence. That is not a justification to pick up arms to overthrow it, especially when we have less than 1 year to go, or about a year to go, to allow Ghanaians to use the thumb or the ballot box, to effect a change in the administration. Because remember, practicing democracy, the essence of practicing democracy is change. That's a constant. And not change by gun. That's why I'm saying that I would not have taken part in June 4th if the regime was a elected government. There's no way. You see? So he should be able to distinguish between the two. The two climates are different. You see? So his difficulty is that he's trying to politicize the issue too much. Coup started in this country on 24 February 1966 against Kwame Nkrumah. Why did he leave it that way?
Do you, however, agree with him, his pronouncement that a coup d'etat in 2019 is impossible?
I don't. Professionally,
it is impossible.
Wait. Professionally, I don't.
Impossible.
Well, then why would rush to court with a penknife threat to your regime?
Okay. So, but what would you say to that? Is it possible for coup d'etat?
In other words, any state must assume that some people somewhere may want to destabilize the state. That's why we have security agencies to protect the state. So you can't say that it's impossible. You don't do that, especially when it's a young and fragile democracy like ours, 27 months or years old. You can't say that. We have to give the young democracy more chance than even what happens in America or Britain.
So you're saying that it is possible?
It is possible because so long as some individuals may disagree with the existing regime and those in charge make it impossible for them to effect a peaceful change. You understand? That's possible. So if, for instance, and I'm telling you with authority, that the coming election, nobody can tell who is going to win, but as a father of NDC, I assume that we are going to win.
And people will win again.
Wait, that's your judgment.
People will win again.
That is your judgment. I disagree with you. Because I'm saying that Muhammad is coming back. Whether you like it or not, you can laugh your head off. But the position is this. The position is this, that otherwise, we don't have democracy. The essence of democracy change. So if you can sit down here and tell me that it's impossible to effect even a democratic change in Ghana, then you are advocating
Please. I have not said it is impossible to effect a democratic
But that's
change.
the question you asked me.
No.
The question was about whether coup d'etat is possible.
Yes.
Exactly.
His question was whether a coup d'etat
It's possible
is possible. And I am saying a coup d'etat is
not possible.
Not
You
possible
say
because
in constitutional Ghana.
And I'm saying that because your understanding of a coup d'etat is wrapped. Yes, it's not that as professionals should not think along these lines. The coup d'etat involves a movement of troops or a session
So then you must applaud the military intelligence guys for doing 15-month surveillance.
I don't have the evidence to applaud them.
But that's what they said. They were operating.
They
were operating on an assumption that it's possible.
I have been an intelligence officer before, and a whole lot of things can happen. Like he was nearly nailed on evidence that could not stand trial.
Yeah.
So if we haven't had opportunity of giving him a fair trial, he will be rotting in jail somewhere today, and I don't like that. And no civilized society should encourage that kind of thing, that a coup is impossible, it's impossible. Why then do you have military intelligence in Britain for this?
Captain, so fundamentally, there's a general disagreement on whether it's possible or not. But I think the point he makes is, and some have said so, that the political class should be wary of, there are people like the government has alleged, who aim is to find whatever reason to cause destabilization in the country. And the political class, the security agencies must be aware of that. From what you say, you've been a deputy interior minister before. Do you appreciate that that is important in terms of the approach to intelligence?
Well, I'm not too sure I appreciate the exact import of your question. But let me make it
Should state agencies, as he's suggesting, approach the current running of security as if there are individuals in the state today whose objective and aim is to destabilize the system? Should they work with that assumption?
I don't think so. I don't think
Then we must disband military intelligence.
So. And you see, I don't think so because the tragedy of Ghana today is that more than 50% of the population of Ghana are people who did not see 24 February. They did not see 13th January. They did not see 4th June. And they did not see 31st December. I'm saying that I may be wrong, but I think I'm right in saying that 50% of the population of Ghana today are under 40 years. So they did not see what I, Ifadate, saw on 4th June. They did not see what I, Ifadate, saw on 31st December. The recklessness, the lawlessness, the insecurity that ruled the streets of Ghana. So they look at issues from, permit me to say, an academic point of view. But the reality on the ground is that the current generation of Ghanaians have seen 20 years of democratic governance. We saw in Ghana the popular adulation of the people in changing from NDC to MPP in 2001. We saw in 2008 a situation where the political climate was so charged that Kufuor and MPP conceded defeat, and NDC took over after a 3-election voting pattern. Now, NDC ruled Ghana for another 8 years, and by popular acclamation, Nana Akufo-Addo won over 1 million popular votes.
And Mahama conceded defeat.
And to unseat democratically government of John Mahama.
Yes.
Now, the question is, we of the New Patriotic Party, we are delivering our mandate of making sure that the 4 years given to us, we are in the 3rd year, we have 1 more year. We shall prove to Ghanaians that they did not make a mistake in electing us in 2016.
That's the election campaign.
And then in 2024, we shall win again.
You must,
and again.
and again. You must be worried then that the state says, in spite of all the confidence you've expressed, that there are a group of people who still believe that the things have degenerated to the point that the only way to save this country is to kidnap the president and destabilize the country. You must be worried.
Anybody who thinks that is not in his right senses.
Your own government put the statement out. The government.
I'm saying anybody who thinks that he can destabilize our nation, anybody who thinks that by kidnapping the president he can destabilize our nation is living in a dreamland. Because Ghana is now set on a democratic path. And look at the history of Ghana. If you look at the democratic development of Ghana and the economic development of Ghana, all the time that military coups took place, Ghana was retrogression. In all, just take a physical look, and I'm sure Kokubaku, the master statistician, can give us data on this clearly. That Ghana always went backwards when soldiers took over.
But a lot of them come with the promise of saving.
Including the 1966 coup.
Including saving.
Including the 1966 coup.
Great.
Well, okay, so, but you can see that your coup d'etat in 79
was not directed against a system.
However, it added to the chaos and it retrogressed.
It didn't, and I tell you why. Well, let you talk. I listen to you. Let me. Can you allow me to talk?
Let's let him to make a point.
Can you ask me
Sure.
I'm sorry, Major.
Sure. Sure.
Now you're doing the right thing. At least, you see?
Yes.
In other words, June 4th came in, and we made a clear, unequivocal promise to Ghanaians to respect the arrangement in place to return Ghana into a constitutional rule.
Which you did within months.
We gave ourselves 4 months, and we did it with 1 week, one week to spare. Right?
On 24th September.
On 24th September, on my birthday, for your information and general public.
Yes.
You know, so the question of chaos, we did not create a chaos within 3.5 months. How can you assess June 4th period as a chaotic? Because nobody was executed in June 4th who had not created an illegality, primary illegality, and he's a lawyer, he should know that. Wait, let me make my point.
Those generals who were executed.
Can I make my point?
Please make your point.
I said, would you allow me to make my point?
Yeah, he will.
Please make your point.
Yes. Yeah, he will, yes. General,
what I'm saying, the return to constitutional rule on the situation where, by your own admission, soldiers had come in and looted the country, and with a fast salary, and would not be punished under the law that you know exists today. Criminal Code 1960, Section 12B. Go and read it. It's still there. It enacted in 1960 Constitution, 1969 Constitution, 1979 Constitution, and 1981 Constitution. So you cannot, it's like I gave a hostage example, that somebody picks up a hostage, and then you go and stand and hold a Bible in front of you. Please, you allow him to go, and then go and pray for you in the church for God to forgive you. You don't do that.
Okay, so that's what happened. I'm going to take a quick break. When I return, I'm going to ask their view on what has happened since this story broke. There is a widespread disbelief among the populace. In fact, some have joked with it. The latest is the former President John Dramani Mahama, who this weekend poo-pooed the idea that there could be a coup d'etat. In fact, laughing and joking that even he saw Bentua as part of as part of the tools and implements and weapons that the suspects have been accused with, and he doesn't see how that is even possible in country. I want to view why there seems to be so much cynicism towards this. The government today, the Interior Minister had said that people should not take that for granted, because indeed the attempts were real and a clear and present danger there. I asked them why they think the current Ghanaian populace doesn't seem to trust that the government was telling the truth when they put this out, to the point that they could joke with it, and what it means going forward for our security. Stay with us. In the studio with me is Major Retired Boachijan. He a brain behind the 1979 coup d'etat. Also with me is Captain Krabefa, that's a retired also. He was once arrested and accused of mutiny back in the day. He represents one of the officers 7 officers who have been accused of plotting to overthrow this current government. Boachijan, let me ask you, Major, let me ask you what has happened recently. Many people have joked with the information that people were plotting to overthrow the government, including former President John Dramani Mahama, who was once the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, joking that, you know, he saw people using an animal syringe, you know, as a tool to overthrow the government, and if people were laughing as he was saying this, totally poo-pooing the idea that this was even possible, looking at the seized weapons, etc. What's he put up for him to do that, seeing that the state has told us the military intelligence had done 15 months of work in investigating this? The same group of people he headed as a commander-in-chief once. Was that a prudent thing to do from a former president?
Why not? Because here is excuse me to say, you know where I'm coming from, somebody who is on the verge of taking over this country, and then I'm told that it is not possible, when in fact he was a sitting president when he was overthrown by the ballot box. All I'm saying is that if it is not possible to change a ruling government by democratic means, then why are you taking these people to court? Are you with me? You are confirming the general suspicion in this country that you are scared to be removed from government by the ballot box. And that's why you are creating a diversion away from.
So you think this is a diversion?
It's a typical classical diversion. In security, ask anybody with any practice in security or public relations. That's classic diversion, because I mean, less than 2 years to go to conduct an election in this country. Why would a president want to, an incoming president, want to joke with it when he's investing so much effort?
What gain is there to create a diversion for this government?
Because you go and ask the family members of the children who were killed. In Takoradi girls, we call them in popular language. And ask them how they feel about this regime. Is that the regime that they want to succeed them in 1.5 years to come? Take people who have had their bank accounts collapse. Vital financial assets in this. The general incompetence of this regime. But I'm not saying that you justify anybody picking up an app to overthrow them. Let's make a fundamental distinction. I am not the type of person to say that it is impossible for this regime to be changed by the ballot box. That is overstating the issue.
However, Major, you were a major in the army.
Yes.
You say that this was a diversion.
Yes.
And yet, we've been told that your colleagues, your former colleagues, have done 15 months of work. That should count for something.
20 years.
Look, why would they invest 15 months just to create a diversion?
Why would they want to come to us to say that there are some people plotting the coup, when in fact in their charge sheet, there's no mention of a coup in it?
Captain, so what do you make of the way this whole thing has been joked with, played with, for a former president to step?
Mismanaged.
You see, Major himself will tell you that in security, you don't joke with any information. You don't take anything for granted. You check and cross-check before you can dismiss an idea. before you can run down an issue. Here we are with the new Patriotic Party administration. Across 15 months of closed-circuit surveillance, they've come up with a conclusion that these people have negative plans towards the state. And so they pick them up.
These people, including your clients, by the way.
Yes. And that is what makes me feel so sad. Because you see, in a regime of coup plotting and coup planning and rumors of coups, nobody is secure. Nobody. Even you, the interviewer. Somebody who does not like your face, especially your glasses, can just mention that you are involved. And you'll be working here innocently and they'll come and pick you.
Thank you.
Because possibly you are running after his girlfriend. And before the facts come out, you would have passed through literally hell. Just like how my client, LAC Ibrahim, Albert Baba.
But it's the government you're defending that is doing this to your client. Then.
Yes. Say again?
The government you're defending is a government that is doing this to your client.
He says,
you say your client is being falsely accused.
Wait. Can I come in here? To say, when he says that their government is incapable of overthrown by an elected process, that is a very dangerous position to take.
Please, Major, I have not said that MPP cannot be overthrown by NDC. I have not said
What did you say earlier?
No, it's about, it says the coup d'etat through the barrel of the gun.
Yes,
It's not possible.
for coup d'etat through the barrel of the gun, it is impossible.
Then why have you panicked?
Oh, we are not panicked. MPP, we are not panicking.
First of all,
we just want to make sure that the law takes its
You have
course.
panicked because you told us, woke up rudely in the morning and said that some people are planning a coup when in fact
No,
you
but that's not sudden. There's a product of a 15-month investigation.
15 months when you are...
You don't believe that military intelligence has the capacity to do that?
No. That's what the state security, the money is spent on the state security to provide.
Yes.
That there will be people, even in America and Britain, who will be plotting to overthrow a government. So you make sure that you take an insurance.
Which is what they've done.
No, you take an insurance, but that doesn't mean we should allow you to misuse the insurance.
You think the government is misusing the military intelligence?
It's misusing it for purposes.
What, the military intelligence?
No, the coup, the attempt to create a scarecrow mongering in this country. Yes, it's called. I'm telling you. I mean,
Captain, are you going to ask for the evidence available? Because you're representing him, we need that in the case.
Well, the law in Ghana today is that before you prosecute anybody, you must make your evidence available to the person.
So you're expecting it?
I mean, as of right, even if you are accused of stealing chicken or a goat or something, the law now today is that before prosecution begins, you must make available the evidence to the accused person.
So you're expecting the state to give you the video and audio evidence as part of the trial?
I am expecting the state, the Attorney General's Department, to give evidence that they have against LAC Ibrahim Al-Baba. That's what I'm expecting.
Captain Krabe Fadate, thank you very much. Major Wachijan, thank you very much. And I like the when he saluted him, for the very first time on the set.
He's my senior.
Yes, he is. I'm grateful that he joined us. My name is Stefan Spencer. Enjoy the rest of your evening.